Welcome back to Elevation 44, where we learn how to master our energy. And we do that through three main areas: spiritual alchemy, astrology, and holistic living. It's your girl B, and if you are here for the very first time, welcome. If you're returning back, happy to have you back, fam. We are gonna get into this Libra full moon, okay? And yes, I'm a little late on the video, but you know, life right now is a balancing act, okay? And you know, everybody's trying to adjust to this new normal. So I have a little one and I have to be mommy, I have to be teacher, I have to be playmate, I still have to get my work done. So just trying to find that balance, but making sure that I prioritize what's most important, which is my family, which is my son. And so I'm trying to get you guys this content out, but you gotta be a little bit patient with your girl this time because, you know, trying to work around this new schedule and this new way of life. So what we're going to get into with the Libra full moon, we're going to talk all about emotional balance. So it was great to like open up with the whole balancing thing, right? Because we're all trying to balance in one way or another. And this Libra full moon coming in is going to specifically highlight emotional balance. And this is such a vital thing for us to focus on right now, and a vital energy for us to utilize right now, because with all of the intense energy of the planetary lineups right now, it's just the thing that we need to keep ourselves on firm or solid footing, because there's just a lot of changes. There's a lot happening, and a lot happening quickly. So finding that internal sense of peace is always going to stem from having a good balance. And emotionally, that's where a lot of us need to be focused right now, okay? So without further ado, let's get into the Libra full moon, some rituals, herbs, crystals that you can work with, and let go. So let's just break down the facts about the Libra full moon really fast before we get into the details, okay? Now, the first thing, Libra is an air sign, okay? So air signs are the thinkers and the communicators of the zodiac, okay? So it's just got that more of that mental, you know, energy or mental aspect to it, okay? Libra is also a cardinal sign, which means it is the starter, it's the initiator, it's the one that gets things popping and gets things, you know, moving. Libra also rules the seventh house, and the seventh house is the house of partnerships. And this is partnerships both in personal and professional ways. So this can speak to marriages or relationships, romantic relationships. This can also speak to business partnerships or, you know, working relationships. So partnerships is definitely the highlight of Libra energy. Now, Venus rules Libra. So Venus is also the planet of love, beauty, and it's all about balance. So it wants to bring peace and harmony so that everything is balanced out, okay? So that is what the Venus influence is on the sign of Libra. Now, some of the gifts of Libra energy is what I just talked about in the last sentence, which is that balance. It's all about that fairness, that justice. So when it wants to bring in harmony to a situation, it's going to try to find an equilibrium. It's going to try to find a balance between everything, find a fairness, right? So that's being a peacemaker, or bringing in a sense of peace, is one of the main gifts of Libra energy, okay? Libra energy is also very social. It's a very social energy because it values and builds relationships, okay? Relationships of all kinds, friendships, business partnerships, you know, romantic connections. It really has a focus on relationships. So it is great for making connections, being sociable, and, you know, getting connected to your tribe or connecting others who need to be connected. That's that Libra energy. Libra is also focused on art and beauty. It's all of that artistic beauty qualities that Venus influence brings in, right? And it's also great, the Libra energy, because it focuses so much on relationships, and at that emphasis and that value of relationships is great for building romance and focusing on romance and romantic connections. So that's a few ways that you can utilize this energy, the gifts of this energy, to your advantage. Now, some of the challenges with this energy is that because Libra energy can be so focused on relationships and building in other people, right? You can tend to lose yourself and be off balance with this energy, in the sense that if you're not well balanced within, that emotional balance that we'll get into in a minute, if you're not well balanced within, you will place an emphasis or a focus more on the outside or other people's energy, and making sure that other people's needs are met before your own. So you can lose yourself in other people's values or expectations, okay? So you also need to, with this in mind, you need to keep, you need to create boundaries, okay, for the relationships in your life, and you need to enforce those boundaries, because if you get into this people-pleasing mode, like I said, it's very easy to lose your sense of self and what your values are and what you want in the situation, because you're so focused on pleasing and making others happy, okay? Another challenge is if you're not utilizing this energy to get balanced, the flip side of it is it can make you ungrounded, unbalanced. You can be airy, you can be spacey, because again, Libra is an air sign. It's got that air energy, which is all mental, and you can get stuck in the mental side of things and not get that firm grasp of rooting yourself and getting grounded, right? So you can get easily ungrounded with this type of energy. So you just want to make sure that you're very mindful of that. Another thing is that, going back to the relationships, with that unbalance in relationships, if you're not careful, you can have a bit of a codependency, right? Because of that, putting such a value on those outside relationships versus focusing on your own internal peace, your own internal truth and happiness, and what's necessary for you to be good, because you're putting so much of an emphasis on the outside people around you, you can then become codependent, because what you really need to fulfill from within, you're now seeking in the relationships around you to fill. So you want to be very careful with this energy in that sense, because that could be a huge challenge. And we all know that codependent relationships are just not it, okay? They're not the move. You want to be very dependent. You want to have interdependent relationships, okay? You don't want to be codependent, all right? Now, another thing with this energy, another challenge, and this is the last challenge that I'll highlight so that we can move on to some of the other stuff. But one of the other challenges is that this energy can be very indecisive, okay? Just not really, and it goes back to the whole being ungrounded. When you are so spacey and so in the clouds and so in your thoughts and so mental and so cerebral all the time, you can get just lost in that. And it gets hard for you to just, make a decision or be very focused on one particular thing. So working on yourself in the sense of rooting yourself, working on that root chakra, working with red, working with a lot of, root chakra, maybe crystals and stuff like that. If you tend to feel like you're on that side of things, will definitely help you to get grounded and get connected, and going out into nature, planting your feet into the dirt, doing some breath work. These are the things that are going to keep you grounded, so that you're not so far off, in just la la land or mental land, and just, flittering around, flying around, doing whatever, okay? Connecting and being that social butterfly. We want to make sure that we have balance in all that we do, and that's why this is the key thing with this energy, emotional balance, and emotional balance comes from within, okay? So let's get into a little bit of the planetary transits that will be happening at the time that this full moon is going to be in the sky. So the first one I'll talk about, and I'm just gonna say this, like the energy right now is very, very, very intense. It is so intense right now. There's just so many different planetary lineups, and we are seeing the result of that. We are seeing this play out on a global level, and we're seeing the dominoes just fall, just that domino effect, all right? And it's going all around the world. So with this intense energy and with this full moon, there are things that we want to make sure that we're focusing on or we're aware of, because it can easily ignite things that are already in motion. Or we can try to find little pockets of the positivity, because there is always going to be a balance. No matter what's going on in life, there is a balance of positive and negative, right? Even if all you perceive or all you are seeing with your eye is negative, there's actually positive aspects that are happening as well. So with the three major transits that I want to talk about, I just want you to keep in mind that I'm going to present that negative aspect of the energy, but I'm also going to present something positive so that you can try to pull little pieces, because we have to look for the positive things in this situation. We can't just focus on the negative, because then we'll become unbalanced, and we'll become unbalanced emotionally, and emotional balance is what we're striving for with this energy, right? We need it now more than ever. It's so important for us to be able to progress and move forward and have faith and hope and rebuild, is that balance that we're going to have from within. And we can't do anything if our emotional balance is not intact first. Okay, so with all of that said, I'm going to talk about the three major transits happening and how they are working with the full moon. Okay, so the first one is the Pluto and Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn. So at the time of the full moon, the moon is going to be trining. So this Libra full moon is going to be trining both Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn. Now but before I go into what it means, I want to say that this Pluto and Jupiter can't even say it. This Pluto and Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn, there we go, happens only once every 13 years, okay? And so this lineup started on April 4th, okay? And it's going to continue for some time, and it's going to make Pluto and Jupiter are going to conjunct 3 times this year, okay? So this is the first of the 3 conjunctions to come with Pluto and Jupiter. Now, Pluto is the planet, the energy of death and rebirth, right? It's coming down to tear down those old structures, and being in Capricorn, that's specifically speaking to business, government, and the way that we do things on that global, corporations on that global scale. It's coming to tear down those structures and those systems that no longer work. That's what Pluto energy is. Now, Jupiter energy is an expansive energy. So all it's doing is blowing that up or expanding that energy and making it even more so intense. And we're seeing this play out right before us in the everyday news. You have to just pay attention to what's going on now, and everybody knows what's going on now from every corner of the world, okay? We're watching this play out on the stage as we speak. Now, when the moon is trining both Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, what we can look for is increased sensitivity and intense emotional connections, okay? So there is going to be an increased sensitivity for us, but we're also going to have an increase or intense emotional connections. Now, this can work for us and it can work against us, because intense emotional connections mean that we're going to be able to put things in line emotionally, but it can also, if we're not careful, be something that can go the opposite way, okay? So I'll explain. Now, when I say it's good, it's a good thing in that sense, is that it's an ideal time that we can share our emotions and we can be open and we can gain support from others. Like a lot of us at this time feel, isolated, feel alone, feel scared, feel, a lot of different emotions, and that comes from feeling kind of cut off from society, or like in your own little corner, and you're all cooped up in your own little place, and you don't feel that sense of connection. So this is a good energy where you can express yourself openly, where you can make those good connections. Now, the reason why I want to say it can go left real quickly, I'm going to get into the second energy so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Now, the second energy that, or transit, or major energy piece that I want to focus on is Mars conjuncting Saturn in Aquarius, okay? Now, the moon is also going to be trining Mars and Saturn in Aquarius, okay? So the Mars and Saturn conjunction started on March 31st. And I want to talk a little bit about this energy because it's a very temperamental energy, okay? It can make negative emotions, very intense. So it can flare up anger. It can flare up like just reactivity in the worst way, okay? So with Mars being that like passionate, fiery, intense, that war-driven, or that very aggressive energy, and then you have Saturn, which is all about structures and rules and limitations and that type of thing. What you're having is it's like there are limitations, and because there are limitations in place, Mars is aggravated, and it's just, you know what I mean? Those two energies are just rubbing each other the wrong way. So this energy is already something that we're struggling through in addition to everything else that's going on. So this energy is going to help us be more assertive and direct in our relationship. So we can just, if we're seeking that emotional balance, we're going to know exactly what we need to do, why we need to do it, who we need to go to, and how we want to address the problem directly. On the flip side of that, because I'm going to name the positive and I'm going to name the not so positive, is that there is another major energy lineup, which is Mercury conjuncting Neptune and Pisces, and the moon, the Libra moon, is going to be opposing this, which means there can be communication scrambles, all right? This is an increase of communication scrambles, and there can be heightened misconceptions and misunderstandings in relationships. So even though you're getting that energy that allows you to be more direct and more focused and more just very, like handling that relationship, handle those conversations, it can go left if you are balanced, because what's going to happen is there's going to be misconceptions, misunderstandings. There's things, words and actions and things that can be taken out of line. So again, this energy is all about balancing the positive aspects with the negative aspects and working with everything to just balance. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's balance. It's all a balancing act. But I believe that even though we have all of this challenging and intense energy, this is helping us to refine some of those things. And it starts within first. It starts with that emotional balance. And then it will bleed out into our relationships and everything around us. So we're just trying to find balance, not only personally, but globally, right? We're trying to find that balance of having progress, because what we were doing before wasn't working. So we have to go into something new. And so this is what this is helping us do. Okay, so some of the herbs that you can work with the Libra energy are passion flower, rose, jasmine, angelica, thyme, and yarrow. Now, if you notice, a lot of the herbs that I mentioned are actually flower-based because they are very feminine herbs. They're very relaxing and balancing, okay? So a lot of the flowers are a lot of the herbs that will always be recommended, especially under Venus influence, okay? And they're also great for, a lot of them are specifically great for like love and opening up your heart and romance and just, you know, that harmony and that peace. So these are the herbs that I would suggest you working with for the Libra full moon. Now, the two crystals that I would recommend working with is aventurine and also rose quartz. Now, I didn't bring either one of those. Wait, I do have a piece of rose quartz. Hold on. Okay, so this is rose quartz. I didn't bring my aventurine, but these two crystals are great to work with. Like, aventurine is I love taking aventurine with me every time I travel. It's just a very like, it's a calming, peaceful, like very harmonious type of energy coming off of green aventurine, or any type of aventurine. You have blue aventurine, you have different types of aventurine, but I like green aventurine. It just has that harmonious aspect to it. It gives you peace. And then the rose quartz I would recommend, because rose quartz is all about love and romance and, you know, the heart chakra and also that peacefulness, but in the terms of like love for others and love for self. So that's why I would recommend working with both of those crystals. Last but not least, let's get into some of the rituals we can do while utilizing this energy. The first is a beauty or self-care, because Libra is all about beauty. It's all about, you know, that visual harmony, right? That visual balance. So, you know, harping in on that self-love, you can use some of the herbs that I mentioned. You can run, you know, a nice, luxurious bubble bath. You can treat yourself to a spa day at home, do face masks, use some of the natural herbs and some, you know, some fruits and some things that are already in your kitchen. You can give yourself, I don't know, a foot massage, or have some, like, just love on yourself and just beautify yourself and make yourself feel really, really good, okay? Another thing that you can do is any type of creative visualization, because again, Libra is a very artistic energy. So, you know, just channeling, allowing yourself to channel, like, you know, allowing yourself to just meditate and whatever images or whatever things come to you, sketching it, or, you know, or like, you know, painting it, or, you know, I don't know if you sculpt it, or if you knit, or like whatever floats your boat, just some type of artistic expression of your spirituality or what you're feeling from within would be a great ritual to do. Another thing that you can utilize this energy for is self-awareness. So we talked about, like, it's all about that balancing out, right? Because that's what this energy brings in, balance for us. So, you know, having some self-awareness, sitting with self, you know, going into meditation, talking to your higher self, and just really coming to terms with like where, you know, intuitively you feel like you need to balance things out, and having this energy come in and help you like recalibrate that. And then the last ritual that I would mention, because, you know, Libra is ruled by Venus, all about that lovey vibes, all right? If you are ready at this point where you've already mastered your self-love and you're already feeling good from within in that sense, perhaps bringing in some romance or working, you know, or boosting the romantic vibes in your current relationship. So if you're single, if you want to bring in some romance, if you want to bring in some romance, this is a good energy to call that in. Or if you are in a relationship already and you kind of want to boost that, and you kind of want to increase that, this is a good energy to utilize to do so as well. Okay, I think that covers it. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but I kind of just wanted to give you guys a little bit more just substance in terms of like what is currently happening energy wise, what we can use this for, how, you know, like how can we still progress and learn and transcend through all of this, like life doesn't stop because of what's happening in the world, right? This actually highlights the need for us to do even more of this work and to focus more on this stuff. So I hope you found this helpful. I will just make sure I send balancing vibes out to all of you during my meditation on this full moon, and I hope that you guys can utilize this to progress you even further, okay? Find peace within, find that balance within, balance your emotional, self out, because it's going to be okay at the end of the day. And this too shall pass. We are all gonna get through this, and it's going to be better on the other side. It's uncomfortable right now, I understand that. And if you allow yourself to get wrapped up in the outside world, in the fear and everything that's going on, you will be so freaking emotionally wiped and unbalanced, and you're leaving yourself literally as bait out in the open to be devoured. And you don't want to do that. We want to stand strong. We want to control our energy. We're going to control our destinies here, okay? So I've said enough. Peace out. I will see you guys in the next video.